spot. Okay. All right, well, we will go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for coming. Today we're gonna go over working with buyers. When I'm looking sideways like this, just so you know, I'm actually looking at the picture of you guys on the screen. So it looks like I'm sideways, but I'm actually looking at you guys, just to let you know. Let's go around and just introduce ourselves really quick because we got a couple of different people today. And say one thing you like about working with buyers. Or you don't like, one thing you find challenging or you like about working with buyers. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay, go for it.
Hi, my name is Cherie Brassey, and I work in BHGRE, Sonoma Wine Country Group Sonoma, and hopefully more Santa Rosa. Also, yeah, so what do I like most about working with buyers? Well, I haven't, I'm fairly new, so I haven't done a whole lot with them, but I do have leads with buyers currently, and they are very curious, eager, and excited when and it's sometimes hard to tell how serious they are. That's one of the little bit of the sort of challenges that I see.
Definitely. All right, great, thank you. Who wants to go next? Oh, looks like September got a phone call. Sheila, will you introduce yourself? Oh, I can't hear you. You must be muted.
How's that?
There you go. Perfect.
Okay. What I like helping is to help buyers get into their first home, especially, you know, the satisfaction of making that happen. And right now, probably the challenge is the interest rates and inflation and kind of what's going on with the market.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
September, would you like to go?
Sure. I'm not sure if my mic's working. Can
It
you hear
is
me?
now, yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm September Degnan. I'm Sheila's daughter, and I'm still learning my way in the real estate field. I'm more of an assistant role. But I really love taking buyers out and their excitement when they're exploring a new property. It's just, you know, the excitement. I think that's hard to replace.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm.
A little like you're on a spaceship with your headphones, and then your cushion behind you is like perfectly.
Yeah, I'm ready for takeoff. It's just a very comfortable chair, and I like microphones that sit outside the ears rather than inside.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Go ahead, whoever.
My name is Abel, and I'm quite a new agent, so I haven't really spent much time with buyers, but I like their excitement that they have when like they see a property that they like and they want to go check it out.
Awesome. Right, Lisa?
I like working with buyers when it follows through. It's, you know, for me, it's hard when they back and forth and I almost lose enthusiasm on that one. So that's what I have to work on.
Yep. I always think of, a lot of people in real estate, it's kind of like ocean waves, right? They get excited and they're really, motivated, and then things don't work out and they kind of crash down and then don't lose, they lose interest for a little while and then they get back up, and so you kind of have to keep riding the waves with them. That's how I always think of it.
Yeah, I have to not think, okay, this has been 2 years, I'm exhausted, and just keep doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, I was the perfect, the worst buyer. It took me over 2 years,
Yeah.
but it wasn't very demanding either. It was just like when we saw properties. So, all of you guys know me, but I'm Heather Thurber, and what I like about, I like working with buyers when they really find the perfect, the property that they get really excited about. And I love working with buyers that have a lot of vision, that
Right.
like seeing, that are excited by houses that aren't that great, and they can see like what they can make them into. I find that really fun, like kind of just envisioning the possibilities with them. So that's my thing. All right. Well, today we're going to talk about working with buyers, kind of A to Z from the very beginning, setting things up, going through a buyer consultation with them, setting them up on the MLS, and then following through. Next week, Gary will be covering the contract, so he'll be going over writing a purchase offer and a listing agreement. So that'll be next week, will be the nitty gritty on those things, but this will be more about working with, you know, getting them started, getting them excited and keeping them going throughout the process. So one thing that, you know, we look at, and in other classes, we're going to be looking at where to get our leads, where to get both our buyer and our seller leads. And when a lead comes in, one of the first things that I always like to kind of evaluate is what type of a lead are they? Are they a very cold lead that, you know, maybe you got off an internet site that you're signed up on, or maybe they even came to an open house, but you didn't even talk to them and they just wrote their name and number down. So you don't really know anything about them, or if they have any, if they're already working with an agent or not. A warm lead tends to be, you know, someone who has, maybe you had a little conversation with them, or they, you know, they reached out because of some marketing. They responded to some of your marketing, something like that. So they have a little bit more interest. They maybe know a little bit more about you, or you about them. And then a hot lead, I mean, my favorite hot lead is a referral, right? And a past client or someone you know suggests they work with you, call you. And so, you know, they already believe in you, right? Because that's what we always want to do with anyone that we work with, is we need to get them to know us and like us and trust us. And then they're going to decide to work with us. And so hot lead, you know, it might have even been someone you met at an open house and they asked and they called you up after, right? And you talked to them and they said they want to start looking. So that's someone that you know is kind of on the path. It's those people that they've raised their hand and said, yes, I want to buy a house and we want to work with you. But we don't want to discount those colder leads, because those in 6-9 months, a year, they may come around to being the warmer or the hot lead. NAR does their research every year. They found that most people start researching 7 to 9 months before they're even ready to talk to a real estate agent. So if you catch people early on in that process, get their email, what have you, and you're able to start following up with them, then you're going to be top of mind when they're ready to actually talk to someone about buying a home. So you've got to have your systems for each kind of those levels, right? Your really cold leads, and we're going to go, let's see, is that on this page? Yeah. You're gonna, you know, you've got to have ways that you reach out to them, that you follow up for each of these different lead types. One of the best ways in any lead type is, if you have a phone number, is to just call people. Call them up and, you know, check in with them, see how you can help. If you're nervous or uncomfortable making phone calls, one, you've got to get over it. You're in real estate. But two, if you really need to make a call, but you are really not sure what to say, or if you, especially if you know what to say, but you kind of fumble once you get somebody on the phone. If you guys are familiar with, I don't know how many of you guys know about SlideDial. You guys know about that? Anybody use SlideDial? Lisa uses SlideDial.
A lot.
Sheila does, yeah. Yeah.
I've heard of
For the
it.
script,
What's that?
It goes directly to voicemail.
oh, it goes directly to voicemail.
SlideDial is an app where you can call someone and it doesn't actually ring on their phone. It goes directly to their voicemail. So I really like it because it's a more personal touch than just a text, especially if you have a little bit you need to explain, but you can't get tripped up by, you know, other whatever, your nervousness, your questions, what have you. You can get the information out that you want to really get out. So you can put that in your toolbox. Try not to use it a ton. A personal call is really great. I mean, 70% of the time those go to voicemail anyways, right? So have ready what you want to say, but a call is really the way to get someone to break down barriers. Anytime you're doing any of the follow-up on your leads, it's really important to provide value. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can provide value. obviously, if it's a really hot lead, even if it's a cooler lead, you want to, you can see the bottom of my little list there, you want to ultimately ask them to meet with them. Ask them, hey, can we sit down, talk about what you're looking for, what your goals are, so we can come up with a strategy and talk about the home buying process. Try to set up a home buyer consultation. But until you get to that point where they're gonna say yes, do look at ways that you can provide value. Now, there's a lot of things you can do to provide value. One is if they haven't, I have a bunch of different things here, I'll show you guys. If they don't have a lender, send them a list of recommended lenders, right? You can have 3 or 4 lenders that you really like to work with, send them a list of that. Send them things like, I have these, if anybody wants any of these, this is a packet I made a long time ago. It's just called Finding Your New Home, and it talks about the whole home buying process, the loan process, the components of a mortgage payment, escrow, and then at the end it has like a dictionary of terms. This is a really nice thing to provide. I'll often have this at open houses. You know, if you know someone's address, you can drop it off, you can email it. There's all sorts of different things. I'm just going to give you a few samples here. There's some more on the next page. But anytime you provide value, instead of just an email checking in, right? Something that's actually useful and helpful is often more well received than just, hey, you want to, oh, you're ready to talk about buying a house, right? Again, 7 to 9 months of people researching, figuring things out. So the more you give to them to help them determine if it makes sense, the more you're going to be the one that they're going to call when they're ready. This is just a home buying process roadmap. It's kind of a fun little graphic. This is one I can't share with you guys because someone gave it to me. But you know, it just gives them a really simple kind of fun thing, and then a list of the 10, 11 steps of home buying. This is not one. Where is, oh, this one we'll go over. This one came from Brian Buffini. It's called the Purchasing Pathway. I can share this with you guys. Some of our agents actually use this as the guideline for their home buyer consultation. So when they sit down with a home buyer for the very first time, they walk through this and they just talk about all these different points along the way. You can also email or drop this off to them or have it at open houses. You know, there's different, utilize different methods, because some people really respond to certain ones and others to others. And then this is one that I created this year. It's Finding Your New Home. It's similar to the other one, but it's, you can tell, you guys can't see it, huh? You can tell that Haley did the graphics, and you know, she designed it for me, and I did the words. And I have this again, I have to do one last edit, but I'm happy to share this with everybody. But it's a really nice one that goes over the whole process. Again, you can provide this along the way when you're trying to get the business, or when you sit down with them at the consultation and have this something that they can take home. That's how I usually use this one. They can take it home after we've sat down and talked about real estate. It's really great to set up an automatic drip campaign to your potential buyer leads, so that something is always happening. If you go into Moxie Engage, and I can show you guys this, the Moxie Engage is the CRM that the company has, that Better Homes and Gardens offers to you guys, to all of us. And you can go in there and you can set up a series of 12 emails that you want. You just go in and you input your buyer's name and info, set them up on this campaign, and then they have sample emails, and you can just update them to the specific, to put them into your words, right? All of this stuff, you want to, like even this, Brian Buffini's, you want to go through this. What I suggest is go through it and take each of these sections and reword it in your own wording, so it sounds like it's coming from you. And that's a great thing to do with those emails as well. They're a little impersonal, but if you go in and just change a few words, put it, you know, add in your own personal style a little bit, it goes a long way. Again, then people are seeing you month after month while they're in that research process. Up on the screen, there's the session recording. I can show you guys a little bit about Engage, depending on how much time we have today. But that session recording is the full walkthrough on how to use Engage. So that can, you can use that, and I can email that to you guys or put it in the chat if anybody wants it. Another great thing is once you've met a potential buyer is start, sounds a little stalkery, start following them on social media and engaging with them on social media. People love it when you comment or share or anything on social media. Some people don't use it, and that's great. Then there's not, this isn't one of the avenues that for that person. But if there's someone that's active on social media, people notice. Yeah. Do you have a question? Oh, no. I thought somebody had a question. Okay. People notice when you engage with them on social media. So go in and find them on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. I think TikTok nemesis here. And start commenting. Okay. If you just like their posts, that doesn't make a big impact, because sometimes, you know, they only the like most recent 2 or 3 people that liked it will show up. But if you actually make a comment, like, you know, it can be about what they are putting on there, right? Oh, I just got my nursing license, or I got my whatever it is. Congratulations, saying things like that, or happy birthday. Or maybe they bought something for their home and go, oh, that'll look great in your new home. Like if you've already had a little conversation with them about home buying, right? Find ways that are authentic and genuine to engage with them on social media. And then they'll also start seeing your posts more often. They'll come up in their feeds. So that's kind of a free, really good thing. You know, just watch out, don't drown in the Facebook and Instagram hole, right? That draws you down and you're like, oh, 3 hours later. Be intentional about it. Don't, you know, spend too much time on there. Again, the essential thing, anywhere along the way, you want to ask them to meet, you know, put it out there. One of your emails, say, hey, do you have time Friday or Saturday that we could sit down and talk about your home buying process? Now, I don't know about you guys. I have many buyers I have never sat down and done an actual buyer's consultation with. They just never wanted to do that. And that's okay. But what you have to do then is that when you go out and show properties, make sure you cover those topics that you would in your buyer's consultation when you're out looking at homes, right? I don't know how many times I just never thought to mention, when we didn't do a buyer consultation, I never thought to mention the fact that you know, when we write an offer, we're going to want to, they should provide a proof of funds. And it's not until we sit down to write the offer that I talk about it. So remember to be talking about those things as you go along. It's great to talk about it when you sit down for a buyer consultation. But if you don't do a buyer consultation, then make sure you kind of, you know, get yourself a checklist of all the things that you want to talk about as you're going along. That'll really help. But that consultation's great. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. For your follow-up systems with the different lead types, the order, the method, how you're going to reach out is really dependent on where they are in the home buying process, right? What type of a lead are they? If they're super cold, you're going to be doing more of a drip campaign, trying to get them to engage. Whereas if they're super hot, you know, there's somebody that's ready and they're asking you for things, then it's going to be different. But it's always about providing value, right? Being very responsive, making sure to follow up. You know, I don't know how many times people have said to me, you know, oh, I've asked my agent for a recommended lender and they've never told me. Things like that. So make sure that you're following up, so you're giving them the information they need to help them along the path. And the goal of all of this follow-up is to really try to cement the relationship between you and the buyer, right? If a potential buyer is going out to lots of open houses, they're researching in every website online, right? Right now I'm working with a buyer And they are already, you know, I said, hey, do you want us to set you up to receive the automatic, you know, listings automatically? They said, well, okay, we're already getting them from Redfin, you know, they're already getting them from 4 other places. And so all throughout this, you're really trying to come up with a way that you are more valuable than all the other sources. And you are cementing that relationship. They're seeing that you really provide them the value, that you're there for them, that you're following up and giving them what they need so that when they're ready, there's no question, right? You're gonna be the one they're gonna talk to. Anybody have any great ways that they follow up, suggestions, things that they like to do? Nope. All right, we'll move on.
Do you
Yeah,
put your people in Moxie Engage and the MLS? Like, am I allowed to ask which do you prefer? Or which-
that's a great question. So I don't know if you guys could hear her. She said, do I put people into Moxie Engage and the MLS? So what I do is I put people into the MLS and create their automatic search in the MLS because it gives them an immediate, that shoots off the listings immediately and any updates right away. It's the quickest for that. I actually have been using a CRM since before we got Engage. But I do also put my buyers into my CRM because that's where I send them marketing emails. So they're getting listings from the MLS and marketing emails from my CRM. 2 different things for me. Now, I believe there's a way to do the listings through Moxie, one of the other ones. I have not done that. But I do both. How about you guys? Anybody else? Sheila, what do you do? Do you do?
I do it where I set up an automatic, you know, same thing of things coming up in the market.
Okay, great, great.
But I keep always researching CRMs because I'm never 100% pleased with them. So it's
I
always
know.
the process. I haven't really found one that does it all.
Yeah, I hear ya. I hear ya. You've got to kind of just dive into one and use it for a while and then see if it does what you want.
Yeah.
They don't seem to, yeah. I'm surprised that they're not. That, you know, there's not a lot of really fantastic ones, but
No,
part
I
of
wish
it
there
is,
was one. I mean, that would be my big question is what CRMs do people like?
oh, yeah. Wow, well, that's a great question. Yeah, I'm still setting up. I have a bunch set up. I use Mayshore method. I know a lot of people like LionDesk. I've heard a lot of great things about Moxie Engage, but I haven't used it. I mean, I put my people in there, but I'm not actually using it, just so I know how to use it. LionDesk, there's one other big one.
Yeah, sometimes they can get really top heavy, you know, like top producer. And so I tried that and it was like too intense.
Yeah,
You need something that's authentic, but does enough, but I haven't found it.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. The one I'm using now, I'm still like, I have just a few, you know, I have several things set up, but a lot of it, like the automated emails that I want going out, I have to constantly go in and change the wording. So it's more me, it's more authentic, you know? So
Mhm.
yeah, they're bulky. They can be really bulky.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got that already. Okay, here's just a few things. We're talking about providing value. Anytime you're reaching out to potential buyers, you know, you can put things on social media, you can email them out. Like I said, drop off or mail. You know, sometimes if you're using the Sync Leads program from the company, sometimes all you get is an address, right? So then what are some things that you can mail them, right? It costs you a stamp, do a couple pages. I think it's a great idea, again, providing that value. Here's one, obviously it's very old because the highest interest rate is 4.25, but it talks about a buyer's purchasing power, looking at, you know, purchase price to interest rate and what their monthly payments potentially could be. I love a rent or buy, talks to people about, oh, they're renting and how much they're going to spend over the years compared to start building equity.
Yeah, that's obviously not here.
No, yeah, these are just sick. If your current rent is $500, yeah, the highest one's $1,500. Look at that. Yeah, no, I got that off somewhere. This one is, this is another one that she did, this little path to homeownership. Just taking them through the steps. Again, people receive information in different ways. Some people are very visual, like this one with her picture in it, they really like. Others might like that roadmap, right? They might resonate with that. Other people just want like writing, they just want paragraph form. So if you do things in multiple ways and try to reuse stuff, right? Don't rewrite the wheel every time. If you've already done this more simple one, then just add to it, put it in a different format, put it on social media, those sort of things. Oh yeah, the last one there is that home buying pathway. Does anybody have something that they'd like to send out that they use to provide value? The market update is another good one, right? Marisa creates this, and I have another one that I use that's a little bit simpler and only has about 6 stats. That's another one you can send out regularly that people see, kind of update on what's going on in the market. Okay, we're going to go over the buyer consultation a little bit, and then I've got a video for you guys to watch. It is so great to sit down with a buyer, especially like Sheila was saying, those first-time home buyers, right? They don't know the process. They have no idea what they're getting into. It's really important. I started getting my teacher's credential, and they always talked about teach to the room. And that's like when you go out, say you go outside and you're trying to teach about, leaves or something. And you're like, okay, we've got this lesson plan and we're teaching about leaves, but then an owl flies by. And a good teacher, it realizes that's a teaching opportunity, right? As opposed to, no, we're talking about leaves today. And so when you're talking to your buyers, you need to do the same thing. You need to realize, draw out from them a little bit about where they're at, and then tailor your consultation, the information you provide to them.
Excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Thank you, sorry.
That's really helpful, because if you're talking over their heads or you're talking way under what they understand and know, it doesn't feel as good. Whereas if you're able to ask a lot of questions and find out kind of where they're at, then you're going to speak on their level more. Remember that people, especially first-time home buyers, but most buyers, they don't know things like what PITI is, and they don't know all the little acronyms and things that we use. So always break it down for them. Talk to them again, unless they've already bought 5 houses. Now, someone who's bought 5 houses, you probably don't need to do a full buyer consultation. Maybe you're just going to sit down and have them tell you about what they need, right? So I always start a buyer's consultation by asking a lot of questions, finding out what their timeline is, what their goals are, what their wants and needs in a property is, what their motivations are, right? Now, sometimes a motivation, this can give you a lot of information about what their realistic timeline is, right? Do they, oh, someday we'd love to have 2 acres and have some horses? Or is it like, grandma needs to move out of the place she's in and she needs a space with us. We need a space within, as soon as possible. So finding out that motivation can really help. I have a questionnaire, a buyer questionnaire here. I actually have a couple of different ones of these. For some buyers, especially if you have tech people or people that are very organized, like Cherie would probably love this. They love when you email them this and they provide you with the information before. Now, it's really great because it gets them thinking about things before you sit. It helps them organize their thoughts before you sit down and talk with them. So questionnaires are great. I typically will send out a questionnaire if I know I'm going to be meeting with a buyer. I would say about 35% of the time people fill it out. The other time they don't. And I tell them that if you have time, and you want to, you want to dive into this, please take take a moment and do it. If not, no big deal. We'll figure it out, right? We'll talk about it. But for some folks, it's really helpful. I had somebody bring me a 4-page spreadsheet. I should have brought that. It's awesome. Of all the things, like, do we want, what do we need? And then, they had it listed in like, have to have, would love to have, don't be, whatever. And oh my, it's so much information, but that's how they operate. And so that, you want to meet everyone on their level. Of course, a big question to talk about is if they're already pre-approved or not. If not, that's something you definitely want to get them going on right away so that I mean, you guys all know this, right? But so that what you're showing them is that they can purchase it. You don't want to start out showing them things over what they're qualified for, because it just leads to frustration and disappointment. If someone looks at an $800,000 home, and buyers today, because of the interest rates, are dealing with this, right? 6 months ago, or 9 months ago, they were looking at an $800,000 home, and now they can only afford $725,000. And those homes, they don't look as nice, right? They're like, oh God, this needs a lot of work. So same thing, if you don't get them, make sure they're pre-approved before you start looking, you're going to be dealing with that. And what ends up often happening is they pull out for a while because they're like, oh, we saw this gorgeous house and now we can buy this. And yeah, it's not worth it, right? Whereas if this is where they start, then they are going to be more likely to keep moving forward, until they find the gem that they're looking for.
Can I ask you a question, Heather?
Please do.
So one of the things that I've discovered, maybe, I need more experience, but when we're dealing with new buyers and they're wanting to go out and look at properties, but they're not pre-approved yet, doing that little dance of like, oh, have you gotten pre-approved yet? No, oh, I can recommend you, 3 of my top lenders and get you pre-approved and see what we can do here. And then that little dance between every time we see them, hey, have you gotten pre-approved yet? And it's never, like, oh, I haven't gotten on top of that. And it's like, okay, but like, I don't want to be showing you things that are then going to set you up for failure, like you were just talking about. Like, how do you handle that? I would love to hear your thoughts.
That is a great question. That is a really good question. One thing I usually talk to them about in that case is that they should at least check in with the lender to get pre-qualified. So they can at least do the initial steps and just state what their income and their debts and things are. And then at least they'll get that ballpark number so you know where to start. A full pre-approval, they're going to want, what I think a lot of buyers are like, oh, I don't want to deal with finding my tax returns and getting all my income statements. But at least they're going to need that for a full pre-approval, but they can often get pre-qualified without those documents. And so at least I talk to them, hey, you can just call, have a quick conversation, and they can give you an idea of what price we should be looking at. That's one thing that I do. What I used to do, and it's not as important now, but what I used to always do is I would talk about how crazy the market was and the fact that we often have to write an offer like the same day. Mm-hmm. And that if they aren't pre-approved, they're not gonna have time to get it done, right? That's not so much of a thing. So because it's not as urgent. Yeah, I've run into the same challenge. I know there's a lot of agents that will not show properties unless they have a pre-approval letter in hand.
But it just doesn't feel realistic, at least,
Yep.
especially because you're talking about, buyers being in their beginning stages of searches and setting them up where it's, a lot of the times it's, someone wanders in an open house and they just say, hey, I'm just starting my search, and you're giving them that drip feed campaign, but they haven't figured out any of the numbers because it's really intimidating and they haven't spoken to a lender yet. But yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I hear you. We should come up with a flyer, something about exactly that, right? The benefits of getting the steps, and to break it down for people so they can see at least getting pre-qualified is not that onerous. And then two, the value of it, right? The value of getting that full pre-approval so that when they're ready, they're ready. Yeah, I agree, because it's, I'm gonna write that down. I like
There-
that.
To add to that, Heather, I was taking a class in Grow and there was some different agents from other states talking about that they won't I don't, probably they have different regulations, but that they would only represent buyers that did an exclusive with them,
Mhm.
and they'd have them sign a 3-day, like over the
Wow.
weekend. And even the instructor said, I didn't know you could do that.
Oh,
And but
Must be a different market.
yeah, it's interesting. There is a lot of talk because of the antitrust, the big lawsuit that's happening. For CAR, there's a lot of talk about that they're going to possibly require us getting buyers representation in events. I don't know if it's gonna happen. That would take away some of this, right? If we
Yes.
have. But yeah, right now it is a struggle. Does anybody else have a way that you guys deal with buyers that aren't qualified or that haven't shown that they're qualified and wanna look
Well,
at
I
properties?
all know them pretty personally, so.
You know them personally, so you're like,
So that I'm like, yeah, no. Yeah, it's just different than somebody I don't have
Mhm.
I haven't
Right.
come across that, but
Yeah,
friends I have.
yeah,
No, that's not how it works.
right, yeah, anytime it's a friend, right, they wanna do it differently. Another thing that I've done, is that I will take them out 1 or 2 times. And then say, and then push a little harder, right? Cement the relationship a little bit, get it so that you're showing the value to them and then say, okay, the next step is, I need you to get that done. Whatever, but yeah, you have to kind of, again, read the room, right? See how they're gonna take that step. Because it's important. I don't know why people are so resistant to it. Like, I don't want to be out there shopping for shoes and I'm like, oh, I walked into the wrong store where all these shoes are $700. I'm not, I shouldn't be shopping here.
Well, and it does happen because my cousin's still mad at their agent years ago. Showing the wife houses they couldn't afford and nothing else. They never did buy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a risk, hopefully you're not way out of whack.
But
Yeah.
it's like you said, where like the interest rates have changed what they're available to look at, where,
Yeah.
9 months ago they were looking at that price range. And so if the drip campaign is inaccurate and they're getting shown things that are out of their price range currently, they're gonna
Oh,
get frustrated at me. And
yep,
I need to be able to redirect it. I don't know. It's
yeah,
touchy-
that's a great
touchy
point.
spot.
We should go in and like lower the price on all our automated listings. Or listing, notifications, because yeah, people are probably, they're still getting the things. I personally noticed that most of the buyers I was working with a year ago that didn't buy, they're not actively looking right now. They all got frustrated by the interest rates. And so they're not, whereas the newer buyers tend to be the ones that are out there active. So, yeah, those are some good points. Okay, so part of the dealing with or going over a buyer consultation is talking about, to me, the lion's share or a big piece of it is finding out what they're thinking, right? Getting the information from the buyer as much as you can. The other piece is talking about the process of buying a home. So I always like to, I use a document like the buyer's, the purchasing pathway, a buyer's roadmap, something where I go through all those steps briefly, again, you've got to figure out what your little way of doing things is and how long to spend on things. Some people ask tons of questions, others don't. But, you don't want this to be a 2-hour presentation, right? You want it, I always like it 45 minutes or less is what my goal. I know a lot of agents do an hour to an hour and a half, just depends on who and how you are. But there's a lot of things you want to go over. You do want to go over talk a little bit about disclosures and getting pre-approved, and that you're gonna, you know, for an offer, you're gonna need, you know, it's a good idea to do the proof of funds. Talk about home insurance possibly, and that you want to get that quickly. But mostly be talking about the process. Let me see if I can easily get this up. I've got a cool escape, it's not escaping. Maybe I have to stop sharing. Let's see.
Do we have access to that Brian Bikini stuff anymore?
You know, I downloaded it all, so I have it all. So anything, if you remember something you know you want, I don't know if I labeled it Buffini or not. But I put it all on my computer. She was just asking, we did a Brian Buffini, this whole Brian Buffini training. So I have a bunch of his documents. How do I get rid of this? There we go. Okay, so then I need to go over here. There we go. All right, share screen. No, it went to two. No, one of them. Is that gonna work? So whether you love Tom Ferry, he does have some good stuff. If you go, anytime that you are wanting to work on something like a buyer consultation, a listing presentation, even phone scripts, or, you know, where you want to have kind of a good flow to the way you present things, there is lots of great things on YouTube, and I recommend finding one that you like and resonates with you, and then play it a bunch, because the more you listen, the more you're going to hear. You know, you're gonna get it, just become part of your own language, right? And it becomes part of your presentation, not this like, okay, I've got to memorize script, right? Because you've got to make it your own words, and you want it to resonate with the people you're talking about. So this is, I'm gonna play this, if I can find the play button, probably just in the middle there, right? Uh-oh, I can't hear it. Can you guys hear it? No. Okay, let me see what's going on.
Yeah.
All right. Uh-oh. And my tech guy just walked away. There's Mary. All right. Hey. Hi, Mary. Hi. How's it going? Good. All right. I don't know why I can't hear a thing. All my things are in. All right, I gotta go look at my computer. Bear with me for a moment, so I hopefully figure it out. Where did Abel go? He must have gone back. Take a 2-minute break. We're gonna figure this out. All right, volume's on.
Hey, Lisa. Hey, what are you doing?
Eh,
Oh, it's been. Carla, you ready?
Yeah.
oh. All right, I do not see why it has no sound, so we might just wait till Abel gets back, because he is a genius. Let's fix everything. Let me try again. Nope, I can't hear it. Can you guys hear it?
So are you looking at?
Not yet.
Okay, all right, hold on one sec. Let me just see. All right, well, he's on the phone, so it's gonna be a minute before he can tell me why it's not working. So maybe we will go back to the previous screen. Is that it? So we'll move on for now, and then I'll come back to this once Abel is ready. Why can't I find it?
Okay,
There it is. Okay. All right, this, okay, we'll keep talking, and then when Abel comes back, we'll watch that, okay? All right, I already talked about the buyer's guide. Anything else I want to say about this? I don't think so.
Yeah.
If any of you guys would like a copy of this, you can take it and personalize it. Both of the things I have, this just has like a little, place to personalize it, and it has my bio in the back and things. So if anybody would like a copy of any of these things, if you just want to email me with what you'd like, just let me know. And yes, we already went over that. We talked a little bit about getting your buyers pre-approved. We talked a lot about it, and it can be a challenge, but another thing you can do is if someone's being a little bit resistant, is you can ask them, hey, can I have a lender call you? Because sometimes that, it's just like that initial inertia, right? They don't want to get moving, but saying, hey, oh, I've got, I think so-and-so might be a really good fit, to help you because of X, Y, and Z. And then, hey, can I have them call you? Or, do you want me to ask them to send you the initial application? Something like that often will get them off their, off the bench, right? That can be helpful.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. You always want to recommend at least 3. Anytime you recommend anything in real estate, that's the safest thing to do, is recommend at least 3. I tend to do like a couple of different lenders, and I have 1 male, 1 female, maybe someone a little older, so that somebody who's very analytical, someone who's very personal or personable, so that you can kind of recommend someone that might be the best fit for them. All right. Setting up, is anybody not set up an auto search? Or an automatic listing notification system?
I actually need help doing that. It's one of my
Okay.
goals. And also it was gonna be one of my questions about, you said the MLS does that too. I wasn't aware of that.
Yep, that's where I do it, is the MLS. What have you been using for that? Have you not-
Me,
Have you-
no, I haven't, yeah.
Oh, you haven't done it, okay. Okay.
I was
does
thinking
anybody else-
Moxie, just because I set up my website that way,
Oh, okay,
but
okay. Since everybody else, I think, has set them up, well, Abel's not here, so I don't know. Maybe Cherie, maybe we could set up a time just get on Zoom and I can walk you through that one-on-one. So since it looks like everybody else has got that.
someone else just commented that they hadn't, but
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
that sounds fine.
Have you set up an automatic search on MLS? No, okay, so a couple people have it. Okay, well, I want to go back to, I'm hoping you can help me, because I have, I want to play this video, but there's no sound. I'm hoping, okay, I'm gonna try to get able to help me again, so I'm gonna go share. Screen 1.
Oh, share sound on the bottom left.
Oh, share sound. It's so simple. Why don't I see these things? Okay. So let's go ahead and watch. I might zoom past this beginning because it looks like it's them chatting. But let's take a peek and watch Tom Ferry talk about.
Confidence and conversion with the man, Byron Lazine, the one
still
team
don't hear
at
it.
William
You guys hear
Ravis.
it?
Byron, how are you, man?
Doing great. This
So
is awesome.
So you're inside the office, and I'm like, we got to.
What?
Can they hear
Could you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, they can hear
it?
it.
We don't hear it because it's playing.
Yes, online too. I can at least.
So what do I have to do?
We have to put the volume on the TV for us.
Oh,
Because you're connected to it.
Turns on the
Then they
TV.
can hear it now.
okay. All right, good. All right, see, Abel's gonna fix it for me.
But
Thank
now-
you.
Now the issue is that he might pick it up and.
Oh.
to do a show.
Yeah.
And I said to you, hey man, can you talk about what you say to your agents
Yeah.
to get that? And you're like, I just did this yesterday with one of my agents.
Just did it. Yeah.
So help us unpack. What are some of the tactics, the things that you're asking your agents to say and do that are getting uncertain buyers off the fence?
Well, the agents that are going to win in this environment are the ones that start with actually taking a step back and asking really specific questions.
Yes.
Right. There's so many agents out there that are just like, I got to get to the finish line. I got to get to the offer standpoint so I can close a close a deal, get a commission check. Starts with the questions you're asking the buyer. Right.
Yep.
So, why are you buying a house right now?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you envision being in this home.
Yeah.
Because if a buyer says, well, probably 12 months, then we're probably talking about you're renting, right?
Yes.
You're not buying
Yes.
for 12 months
Yes.
in this environment with this
Yeah.
much uncertainty.
Right.
But when you actually get the buyer to say, okay, well, I'm going to be here for the next 10 years. I'm likely going to be here 10, maybe 15, right? The average is actually over 10 years in this country.
Right.
People don't realize
Right.
that. They
Yes.
think it's like 5 or 6 or 7 years. It's actually over 10 years.
Yep.
And most people, when they really think about it, they're going to be in that home for 10 years or so. Or at least their mindset is
Yeah.
in that direction, right? So
So if you're asking these questions, is this like a modified version or another variation of a buyer consultation?
yeah, but I mean, if you get a lead online and they just want to see homes,
Yes.
the buyer is like, I just want to see homes. I want to see
Yep.
homes. They don't know that they should be confiding in you.
Yes.
You've got to educate them.
Yes.
As the professional.
You got to build rapport, gain some trust, get some
Absolutely.
likability before they're going to open up that way.
And you're going to build trust by asking the right questions. You're going to build trust by showing them that you're in this journey with them, that you're a real pro, right?
Yeah.
And once you unlock that, okay, this buyer is going to be there for 10 years. They're not a flipper. They're not an investor. They are a home buyer. They're looking
Yes.
for their
Yeah.
home. Then you can have the conversation about from 1965 until today, home values.
Yep.
Do they go in a straight line up to the right? Are they flat or are they going down?
Yeah.
Without even showing them the KCM chart or whatever
Right.
other chart you want to use, that buyer can
Yeah.
take a pretty
Yes.
strong guess that, okay, it goes up and to the right.
Yep.
Right? So if you're listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. That
Yep.
diagonal line that everybody has seen where home values continue to appreciate over the long term.
Mm-hmm.
Show them that chart. If you're standing in front of them in the driveway doing the buyer consult, just do what I just did here. Just draw the line with your finger up and to the right.
Yeah.
And what do you think is going to happen over the next 10 years?
Yeah.
Right? It may go down at some point, but you're not a seller. You are living in your home.
Yes.
So we're going to wait and just let that thing continue to appreciate. And so now it comes down to, do you want to be a homeowner or do you want to be a renter, right?
So I want to back up for a second because this language is spot on. And again, we are aligned in that it's always about being the educator.
Yeah.
It's being the person that look at me and say, I'm not attached to you guys buying a house or not, but let me show you the facts.
Yes.
Here's what the data says. You guys are now empowered. You guys decide. But where is that happening in the process? Is that, hey, I just called in on your ad. Hey, I just saw this home. Hey, I was just referred to you. I'd like to see this property. When does that education process begin?
Yeah, if you start asking somebody a question on the first phone call when they're calling about seeing a home,
Right.
there's gonna
You're
be a
out of
huge
rapport.
disconnect.
Thank you.
you're
Okay, I
out
just
of
wanna
rapport.
clarify.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to convert
No.
that lead, and that's just
No.
that's all that call is a lead. It's
Right.
an opportunity
Yep.
for you to build rapport, show them that you're a professional, and decide if both parties are fit to work together. Once you meet that person, we talk about the first freebie, right? Get them
Yeah.
into a property. They're calling on a property, so deliver on that promise,
right.
right? Get them into a home.
Yep.
Then you start to ask them questions, right? You don't, right when they walk in, start hammering them with questions. People do that at open houses all the time. I visit open houses in Southwest Florida just to visit them.
Yeah.
And I will walk into homes
Yep.
and people will say, do you have an agent? Hello? Hello?
Hi, my name is Byron.
Exactly.
What's your name?
What's
Yes.
right? Like,
Yeah.
build
Yeah.
some rapport. Get,
Yeah.
you can have that buyer consult actually after the first showing
Yep.
in the driveway.
Yeah.
And it comes down to like having a real conversation with people, like as if you were at a cocktail party,
Right.
as if you were trying to start a conversation with somebody in a coffee shop. You're not going to go up for the kill. You're
Yeah.
going to get into the conversation and start to talk to them.
So you started with, we're sitting in the car, I'm sitting outside the car, they're in the car, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Byron, let me ask you a couple of questions. Tell me what's important to you. You started first with a why question, and oftentimes why questions can feel like conflict.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're trying to get somebody to justify their position.
That's right.
So tell me why you start with why, or do you start with why and you were just rattling off questions?
Yeah. You're not just going to walk up to somebody and be like, why are you buying a house?
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
they're going to start to open up throughout this would be a great room for this. This would be,
Yes.
So, is this a school decision? Is this
Yeah.
start to ask
Tell me
questions about the community.
what's important.
Yeah,
What are you guys looking for? What are your non-negotiables?
Right. What's it look like when you're in the house?
Yeah.
And you start to build that vision, and then you can get down to why they're ultimately buying a house. And some will come out right out and say it.
Right.
We have job relocation, whatever. And then ultimately like they have to buy, right?
Yes.
But you've got to get down to why, because when it gets hard in this market, when you're competing with multiple
Yep.
offers,
Yep.
when interest rates are seemingly going up every single day, it's getting more expensive. You've got to center back to why. This is if we're going to be in the house for 10 years,
Yeah.
we know we're going to have home appreciation, and you've got to calm their fears with that data.
So let's flip to, I've written 5 offers. I've lost all 5.
Yeah.
When I started writing offers, interest rates were in the 3s. Now they're 5.25. I am frustrated. I'm a little crispy. And you're trying to reinvigorate me.
Yeah.
What's the process there? What's the play that you're asking your teammates to use there?
I'm still going back to the real reason we're buying, right? And I'm gonna continue to show them data. You know, I saw something headline today that says, "Don't talk about, the trouble, the housing bubble. No, talk about."
I saw that too.
Talk
I was
about
like,
everything,
yeah.
right? Give them the
Don't
data
hide from the truth.
Don't
Yeah.
hide from the truth.
Yeah.
Give them the relevant data and show them. I love to just pull up the MLS and say, I know no agents showing you this because they think it's like a secret society, this thing called the
Yes.
MLS.
Yeah.
Let's just open it up together. I'll give you my password if it
Right.
makes you feel more
Right.
comfortable.
Right.
And I'll show you the real data. Okay, here's how many new listings in the last 7 days. And by the way, the last couple weeks, they've outpaced pendings in this particular market,
Yes.
right? And show them that every single day more homes come on the market. Every single day is another opportunity. It's getting more expensive, yes.
Yep.
But if we quit and wait for another month, 2 months, it's only going to be more expensive.
Right.
Every day that you're a renter and not a homeowner, it's very expensive for your long-term wealth.
Yep.
So we've just got to stay patient.
So what about, it's interesting going back to that, I think about the show I did with KCM, myself and David Childers, talking about historical data around home price appreciation during a high inflation environment.
Yeah.
Home prices go up.
Of course.
Transactions could drop, right?
Yeah.
Especially because of interest rates. But we're talking about when we looked back, I think over the 40 years, it was like, 3% transaction drop was the average, minus an environment like 2007, 8, 9, 10, right? Where it was, catastrophic. So back on this point with interest rates, do you find it advantageous? Do you recommend that agents get informed about ARMs, about interest-only product? Because we're seeing all that stuff, rush back inside the marketplace. What's your take there?
Yeah, I mean, during the great financial crisis, 2 out of 5 loans were an ARM.
Right.
But they were like ninja ARMs.
Right.
So they were really
Right.
bad loans for a lot
bad
of people.
product.
Bad product.
Do you
Right-
think the banks have learned the lesson?
I do. And right now you have less than 1% of all loans are an ARM, because why in the world over the last
Yeah.
5+ years
Yeah.
would you get an ARM?
Yeah.
Adjustable rate mortgage. You wouldn't do it.
Yep.
It's starting to come back. The lenders that are really educated are starting to talk about it, educate their agents so they can educate their clients. I think for the right person in the right situation, it's a good product right now, because long term, do we really believe, even if rates go up to say 7%, which sounds crazy, but it could happen.
Absolutely.
Do we really believe that they're not going to come down eventually? I think they will.
They always do.
They always do, right? So an adjustable rate mortgage could make sense for I don't know that it's necessarily the right thing for the first time home buyer who's locking in for 30 years, going to be there for 10,
Right.
might not be the best product for them.
No. So
Sorry, folks, I'm just skipping forward to the next more important part, since that's a little outdated.
I want to wrap at this point. A lot of people are chattering about, oh my God, the market's slowing down. And I think the best headline I've read so far was from the guys at 1000 Watt that said it's gone from white hot to just red hot.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, literally yesterday with Maxine Gellens on a coaching session, right? I mean, here's a veteran of like 48 years. She's like, Tom, when a nice home comes on the market, it's sold in a day. It doesn't matter what price point it is. On the coast, $15, $20 million, someplace in San Diego, a condo for 800, whatever.
Well, they're still talking about a little bit outdated stuff. So I think we're good on that. I like some of the things they said about the buyer consultation. There's a couple of other really good buyer, like where they actually sit. And I can show you guys really quick. Small. Just so if you're wanting to work on your buyer consultation, ones that are there in YouTube.
How to have a
Like this one's
successful
really good. His name is, what is his name? Brian Bartik, Brendan Bartik. He's got a good one. There's several on YouTube if you want to work on your buyer consultation. I think it's great to kind of watch, like I said, watch over and over again and just practice it. Get it out there so that you are getting really comfortable about all the different things that you want to talk about at a buyer consultation. All right, now I'm trying to, okay, I'm gonna have to stop share. I'm not very good at manipulating things while I am on here. All right. So now I'm gonna go into setting up, there are a couple people who want to go over setting up a buyer to receive listings automatically from the MLS. So I'm just logging into MLS here and I will share my screen so you guys can all see this. All right, here I am on MLS. Everybody see that? Able to see that?
Yes, online, I can, Lisa.
Okay, great. So I like using MLS. There are other ways that you can set your buyers up to receive listings automatically. This one's kind of plain. Some of them look fancier, but I just like that the information is, as soon as it's submitted, it goes to your clients very quickly. So to set up someone to receive listings automatically, you just come up here to contacts and go to contact/prospects. You are going to come over here to create new contact. All right. Click on that, and then you just start inputting their name, their information. All you have to put in here is their name, an email address, a group, which I don't even know why that's required, but it is. And then I always like to make notes about, like, put the date of when my initial contact and any notes in there. So I'll just set up somebody here, a sample, Sally sample. So we can go through the whole process. I'm going to the groups. You click on this little paper with a looking glass, and it gives you the options. So if they're a client or a prospect, you just click OK, give them an email. That's the most important thing. I've got this little fake email that I use for things like this, so I don't get random stuff. If there's two people and you want them to CC both, the second person, make sure you put this in here. I like to put in the initial contact date, and then if, maybe it was referred to me by Sheila. Or wherever you got this, if I think it's a great thing to keep a little note about where that client came from, right? Open house, whatever the date is, 10/11. All right, whatever. It's nice so you can go back later and evaluate where any closed transactions came from, because you often forget. All right, so now to set them up to receive listings automatically, you go in and you click on auto prospecting. They give you this and ask you when you want those items to be sent. You can do it daily. You can do it weekly. So if you have someone who's not very active, maybe they're just getting started, you can set weekly, or I typically do ASAP. So if somebody's active and they just want listings as soon as they come out, you just do ASAP and click save. It defaults to, it's going to do it for a full year and then asks you if you want to continue. You can change that if you know they're only going to look for a while or what have you. So then you just say, okay, all the changes have been saved. Now in order for them to get an email, you have to get the email first or at the same time. So you have to change this. You can get a summary of your clients' emails with the automatic listings, or you can do their schedule. Again, if they are super active, I would use their schedule, because then you'll get an email the same time they do, letting them know about a listing. If they're not as active, you could just do a daily summary and get it once a day, the listings that they get. I don't include price changes, status changes, or rejected listings. You can if you want to. Again, depends on who your client is, right? If they want, I've set up things where they want to know the status change because they like to see, oh, we looked at this house, but we didn't make an offer, but we want to see what it actually sold for. So if you've got a client like that, you can set that up as well. I would say most of my clients I don't, because it's just too many emails. All right, then here is where you need to say yes, send the newly matched auto prospecting email to your prospect. You have to click that so that they receive those emails. Again, do you want any of these things or not? Do you want it to go to their CC? You have to click here, even though you put a CC in, if you want the email to go to them, you have to include that. You can choose the format. I always just leave it at the 2-column, but you can pick whatever you want. You want a 1-page, whatever. I usually do the 2-column and then they can just click on it and get the full listing. And then here you can change when you want it to go out. It's the same as what we already said, but you can change that here. Now, this is an option. You can invite them to a client portal. I always invite people to a client portal. It allows them to save listings, comment on listings, reject listings. It allows them even to set up their own searches. I always invite them. How I do it, you can make your own decision. I would say less than 10% of people actually use the portal, but the ones that use it all the time. So, that's what I just figured, send it to them, and if they want it, great. If not, fine. So I click on that. You can put here if you want to know when they go into their agent portal, which I like to know if they've done something. So I click on that. I don't want to know it every hour though. I want to just know once a day because that's not such an urgent thing to me, but it's up to you. This is really important, the cart maintenance, because once they've been notified of a new listing, they've got in their portal, there's a cart that includes all the listings they've received. Cart maintenance clears out any listings that go contingent or pending or closed, if you have it set up by this default way. If you want those to stay there, right? If you've got the client that wants to see when things close and what they sell for, you can include the closed listings as well, or any of the ones you want. Reverse prospecting allows other agents to see that they don't see your client's information, but that you have a client that's looking for certain properties, and it allows them, if you allow it, that they can reach out to you and say, hey, I've got a property that might be a good fit for your client. Very few people were doing this in the last several crazy years, but as things get slower, this might start coming back to be a thing. If somebody's got a listing that's just not selling, if you have this check, it allows them to find those potential buyers. So it's up to you if you want to include it or not. It's up to you. I don't even know what the prospect code is. Do you guys know what that is? I don't even know what that is. But you can set it up that yes, they can email you if they have a client or if they have a property that matches your client's. Yeah, it's up to you. All right, so once you fill that out, that's just setting them up to start receiving it. Next, you're going to do the actual search parameters. So after you've done all those steps, you click save. And then it asks you to create the actual search. Type you want, and do a standard search generally, and name the search. They are going to see this name, so don't name it something wonky, because it will come across on their emails, right? So maybe it's Home Search 2022. I've had people that are both looking for a house and they're looking for a, a bare lot. So I might do 2 separate ones, or maybe a mobile home, and so I might name it something specific that way. You can name it their name and then Home Search, or, it's up to you, but just remember, they're going to see it. So don't, so it should be more for them than for you. All right. So I'm going to click up on the top left, click submit. And then it allows me to create the search parameters. And this is just like any search you do on the MLS, right? Let's just say they're looking for a $650,000 home in Santa Rosa, just a regular 3 and 2. Really simple. So residential. If there's anything else specific, I'm only going to include coming soon and actives. Is this in my way here? Oops. What did I do? Darn it, I was trying to get that out of my way and I made it more in my way. Hold on.
I see the little MLS icon right next to your X though, isn't it? No, on the top, right? No? It says MLS somewhere.
I can't see it because of the.
Oh,
Zoom.
it's right next to the X you're on. Yeah.
Oh, I can see it now. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can't, the Zoom thing drops down, so I can't see it.
Oh, darn.
Thank you. Okay, there we go. I've had a buyer before who they like looking at properties that were a little higher than they could afford, hoping they'd be on the market for a while. So then you can change the dates of when the property came on the market. Typically though, we're just gonna leave it, you can leave it blank, and then it's just as soon as the property comes on the market, then they'll be notified about it. Okay, I'm gonna put in a price range. I'm gonna say 550 through 675. I like to do do it by county. So Sonoma County, and then I come down here to areas and districts, click on the little paper page, and then it gives you the option. Okay, they want to be in the northwest or the northeast or the southeast sections. Can't see if that actually worked or not. There you go. Well, I got one of them, but that's okay. You can also just put in the city if you prefer. Like if they're just looking all in Santa Rosa, they're looking in Forestville. You can put it that way. This is again, just like the same search that you always do. For this, if they say maybe they want at least 3 bedrooms, well, you can just leave the other side blank, because then that'll show you everything from 3 bedrooms on up. Right? If you put 4, they won't show you 5 bedrooms. So I usually leave it more blank than filled out. Okay, minimum 2 bathrooms.
Oh, we can leave those blank?
Oh, yeah, you can leave anything
I
blank.
just use a large number.
Oh, right, yeah, no, you can leave anything blank and then it doesn't bookend it, right? So the bedrooms 3 to blank is saying anything from 3 bedrooms up. There's no end. It could be 78 bedrooms, right? Not that there's bedroom houses like that, maybe there is. Yeah, so you can just fill out just like any regular search. You can fill out any of the information you want in here for their search. And then when you click view results, then it's going to show you what's up on there. You click update. You can review these, right? You can either save them or you can reject them if you want. When you click update, then it's going to give you this client portal invitation. So this is actually the invitation for them to start to go into their portal and let them know about that you've set up auto search. And it's just an email. So you can, home search, auto home search portal, whatever you want to subject. And then you can just write in here, whatever you'd like. Hey, I've set you up, right? Whatever. And more information. And then once you do that, you can send it later and go in and make more adjustments, or you can go ahead and send it now. Oh, I can't do it without the subject. Oops. There you go. So that is what's happening there.
Can we send it directly to their email, or did you say that we have to send it to ourselves and then send it to them?
So that you have to allow it to be sent to you as well. but it doesn't come to you and then you have to forward it. So
Okay.
right now, the way I set it up, it comes to you and it comes to them. For
Okay.
whatever reason, it can't just go to them that I know of.
Oh,
If
that's
anybody,
great.
if anybody knows that, but yeah, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, that was odd, always felt odd.
Yeah, it's always, yeah, it's a little funny. Next, no, Thursday. I forget the date, the first week, I think, of November. Someone from Veris is actually gonna come to the Santa Rosa office and go through all of Veris, how to set up. I don't know if you guys saw, but like when I did the search, it did, it automatically did the preview count. And he'll show you how to set that up. He'll show you how to set up your dashboard so it has all the features that you want on it. So if you haven't done that class yet, I definitely recommend it. It'll be in person. It'll be like a workshop, sitting down with your computer, and it'll have take you step by step setting all that up on the MLS. I think it's the first Thursday. I want to say it's like the 9th, but that's probably not the first Thursday. I want to say it's the first. Yeah, I'll send out another email about it. It's coming up the 1st of November. Okay. So any questions on setting that up?
Thank you.
All right.
There might be later, but I wrote down all the steps.
Okay, good. I know, I see you furiously, quickly writing. Now I wanted to talk, the last thing for working with buyers was talking about actually showing homes. All right, so say you've done your buyer consultation, you've sent them these listings, and they're like, hey, we want to go look at these we want to go look at these 3 homes. So just thought we'd walk over that a little bit. Obviously, you need to have your e-key set up on your phone if you haven't. And it's a little bit of a process if you've never done showings that you want to spend some time preparing for it. So I'm going to pull up the new listings here. And if you haven't done showings before, I'm going to look at this one here on Almond Way in Healdsburg. Most of the properties in the MLS, they will tell you there's a couple places to look because most homes have specific showing instructions. Some will just say, like this one does, go directly. That means it's vacant, right? No one lives in the home. You can go anytime you want. It's on a super iBox. All right. Also here in the private remarks, we'll often have more information about the showings. It also may tell you when the offers are due, if there's disclosure, all that information. But for the showings, you want to take a look here to see if you need an appointment. Some properties, the listing agent actually has to be at the property when you go. So you need an appointment like often a day or 2 in advance. Some properties, let me just pull up another one so we can take a peek at it. Appointment only, all right. 2-hour notice required, please call Beth to schedule showings. So that's how you would come up with a showing or, schedule a showing. A lot of agents right now are using what's called showing time right here on the listing. Usually about under the photo is this little button here, says showings. If your showing instructions or the private remarks say, request appointment on showing time, then you just click here on this showings button. And it has the information. You come down here and you schedule a showing. You can also do a showing cart. So if you have multiple properties, you can put them all into a cart and do them all at the same time. You kind of just walk through that. It's pretty clear. Like this one doesn't need a, that's interesting. So it said to call, but you actually looks like you can make it on here. Why isn't it? Ah, I lost it again.
I don't know why I got the picture of jogging on the beach.
Yeah, I know, right? No, that's not it. I want this whole thing down here. It's just taking one thing at a time. All right. So you can't manage it when it's driving me crazy. Let's try again. Nope, it's still up there, so I can't even see it. Hold on. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing.
Minimize the.
Minimize this and fix it. What is that? There we go. Where is Bear? I see it on here. Did I lose it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Now we should be able to see it. Share screen. Sorry about that, guys. I'm like walking in the dark here. Okay. So that's how you determine where, you know, what the showing guidelines are. A few things you want to consider. I think it's really great to the very first time you go out with a buyer. I think it's really nice to go look at 3 or 4 properties, even if they're ones they're not as interested in, so that you can really pay attention, listen to what they say about the property, and start getting a good idea of what properties, like really what they're looking for in a property, right? So often they'll tell you, oh, we have to have this. And when you get out to a property that has that, it's something else that they like or don't like about it, right? They're like, oh, well, that's okay. It doesn't have this because we love this. It's a process of, even though they think certain things are those non-negotiables, sometimes they are, and they find other things are more important. A lot of buyers, they make their choices based on their heart, their feelings, right? As opposed to, it's gotta have a pool, or it's gotta have, you know, whatever it is. Sometimes people are flexible when they don't realize it. So by going out to see 3 or 4 places, you can start really getting a better sense of that. Listen, ask questions. I often, like, if we go do that, we've seen 3 or 4 houses, I afterwards try to talk to them a few minutes and say, if you had to pick one of these, which would you pick and why? You know, which one what, you know, and here, what is the most, what would make this home you wouldn't buy it for sure? And even pay attention to what happens when you walk into the house. I mean, a lot of you guys probably know, but you know, oftentimes, you know, very common, if there's a man, a husband, and a wife, the husband either goes into the garage immediately or out back, and the wife often either goes into the kitchen or into the master bedroom. Like, they don't even care, you know, once they see those, then they look at the rest of the house. So, and that's not always the case, but often there's something that you determine is really the most important thing, even though that's not what they said, right? So pay attention to those things.
Well, I had a young couple and I showed them houses, you know, a lot of houses. And some that were exactly what they wanted and way better than what they actually ended up with. Not way better, they ended up with a fine one. But the one that they went into and actually, they said, this is what I imagined my home to be. And then that was that. Even though the other ones had better yards and, you know, all the other stuff. It was that this is what I pictured my home.
That's, yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Oh my gosh, I can't see that. All right, if I make this small, is it gonna get too small? So I need to click on these. All right, so let's just say I'm gonna randomly click over here and see if it works. Nope, it's not working, it's off the page. So what you can do is you can put any of the homes that your client wants to go see. Say there's these 3 homes. You can add them to a cart. And then you can go back and find the information, you know, go in and look at it again. I can't seem to actually add.
Especially when they send you 4,000 listings.
The cart is a really great way to manage the MLS. I'm not gonna do that right now just because we're running out of time, but I do want to show you. Let me see if we can get
And it
it.
does tell you what they sold for later, which is also interesting.
Yep, yeah, the cart's a great way. Like, I'll use it when there's someone thinking about selling. I'll put 5 comps in there today, and then in 3 months, when they're actually getting ready to go on the market, I'll go back and look at those and we can talk about what they ended up selling for. You know, so the cart's really handy. Okay, I'm hoping I clicked on a couple of those. When you're planning the day to go do your showings, you can, when you're in your cart, you click on all of them, and then you can click right up here on map. And it will show you, let's see how many I actually clicked on. I clicked on, oh, I did click on Oh, just two, okay. Well, I was hoping to click on three, but you can click on those and then you can see where they're located to help you determine the order, right? Okay. Okay, it makes more sense that we start here and we go around so that you're not doubling back a lot. Now, keep in mind, I think it's really helpful when you have to make appointments for some of the homes and not others. Like, it's really nice to maybe if you have to make an appointment for one and you're gonna look at a few, I like to have that be the first one, right? Because then if it takes longer at other properties, we don't end up running late or getting there really early or what have you. Or if there's a couple that need appointments and a couple that don't, the ones that don't, maybe you put them in the middle as buffer. You know, those are some things to think about when you're kind of designing your day. If you're gonna be spending a long time, if somebody wants to go look at, I've had clients from out of the area, they have one day a month to look at properties, we'll go look at 6 or 7, really 6, I try to have be the most I look at in a day, especially even less if they're looking at rural property and you're like all over the county, oh my gosh, that's a lot, right? But if they're closer in, you can do a few more, but even 6, people start to forget, right? They're like, oh, which one had that cool bathtub or what have you. So something I do is I'll do a clipboard with all the listings on it and tell people, make notes on here. You can take pictures, don't post them on social media unless you get unless you get permission, but they can take pictures to help them remember those sort of things.
I just print out the whole listing thing.
Yeah, you do the whole, yeah. So that's something
that, because otherwise I forget, at least there's a picture there. And
Yep,
oh, that's-
yep. Yeah, I do that especially. So Lisa, I don't know if you guys can hear online. She prints out the whole listing. So like if you're gonna go look at 6 properties, you have all the listings for them. You can print it out for yourself as well. Once you get going a little, if you want to save paper, you can get the Veris MLS, all the listings on your phone. It doesn't have 100% of the things that are online, but it has most of them. So I don't want to hold you guys over. Any questions? I feel like I didn't cover everything on showings, but any questions or comments? Yeah.
Did you say you gave them a clipboard so that they can then write notes on it, or what did you say? I'm sorry.
And I do, I do different things for every buyer. Sometimes I'll take a folder and put stuff in there. Sometimes I'll do a clipboard. Often you're going to show only 1 property or 2 properties, and then I might just take them a sheet or not. I always judge the client, but I love if we're going to go out for a day and look at like 6 properties. I love a clipboard. I bought a whole bunch of cheap bright green clipboards. And I'm fine if they even keep them. Like I have a couple clients that they keep them for their whole home search time. That's where they store all their stuff. It's a great place for them to make notes. So I love doing a clipboard if we're going to look at more than just a couple houses.
But if you were looking at really like $2 million houses, you could put them in that nice little folder.
Yeah, yep.
I'll go.
I personally like the clipboard because they can write notes on it, but yeah, you could do yes, you can do however you want, whatever works. Try stuff, right? And see what works.
Okay.
See how people, and again, some people are different. Some people love it. Some people are like, oh my God, you printed 7 pages. What a waste of paper,
I just tell me the prescription. But I
Right.
think that's important for even if it, yeah, well, you would know if somebody's totally against that.
Yeah,
But it's just easier for them, they can write it down. I haven't had anybody complain.
yeah. Yeah, I've had a lot of people hand them back to me. Like they're like, I don't want this. Like if they don't like the house, But yeah, but it's all good. So
I just tell them I use it for scratch paper.
right. I got a lot of scratch paper.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Any questions or last thoughts about working with buyers?
No, just thank you for your time. And I really appreciated having an intro class, and I look forward to the next one.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, you guys. We'll be here next week. Gary will be covering contracts, so that'll be good.
It's gonna be here in person.
All right. Take care.
Thank
I'm
you.
not sure. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Um, that was the plan, but he asked me today if it was recorded, the last one was recorded, so I don't know if he's thinking that he's gonna
Get out of it.
let me do the recording, I don't know, I haven't heard. All right, how do I turn this off? Oh. A lot of talking.